Merida, Mexico, the city everyone calls the safest in Mexico, the cultural capital of the Yucatan, and lately, the place half of North America is Googling at 2 a.m. wondering if they should move here. But how much does it really cost to live in Merida? Today, I'm breaking down actual grocery prices, real apartments and houses, transportation, utilities, healthcare, everything you need to know before packing your bags, and maybe your air conditioner. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Matt. Welcome back to the Americano, where I compare cities across Latin America so you can find the best place to live, retire, work remotely, or just escape the chaos for a little sunshine. If you've been enjoying these cost of living deep dives, hit that like button. YouTube created those buttons so small channels like mine can compete with Mr. Beast and Mark Rober. So if you click it now, it tells YouTube you're riding with the underdog. When people talk about Merida, they usually picture the colorful streets of Centro and forget that this city is huge and each neighborhood feels like its own little world. So before we talk prices, let me show you where most expats actually live, because Merida's cost of living can swing wildly depending on the area. This is the classic postcard Merida: colonial streets, museums, cafes, loud birds, louder church bells, and homes that look like they've been pulled straight from a history book. It's walkable, it's charming, and it's hot. These older homes weren't exactly designed with modern air conditioning in mind, but if you love culture, this is ground zero. Francisco de Montejo, a very solid, very local, very middle-class neighborhood. Think safe, residential streets, and normal day-to-day life. Great for families, and the rent here is some of the best value in the entire city. If you want the live like a local experience without being far from everything, this is it. Altabrisa. This is where Merida starts feeling modern. Malls, hospitals, wide roads, condos, it's all here. If you're the kind of person who likes having a Starbucks, supermarkets, and private clinic within a 3-minute radius, this area checks all the boxes. Montebello, right next to Altabrisa, but trendier and a bit more upscale, great mix of apartments, restaurants, and newer developments. It's like the Goldilocks zone. Not too expensive, not too cheap, very comfortable. Then there's Santa Gertrudis Copo. Now we're getting into expat favorite territory. A ton of modern condos, gated communities, rooftop pools, all the amenities. If you work remotely or want a more polished environment, this is where a lot of digital nomads land. Then there's Cabo Norte, the polished premium zone. Think lakes, parks, international schools, luxury apartments, and lifestyle centers. It's basically Merida's version of suburban luxury, and the prices reflect it. And then there's the Yucatan Country Club, one of the most prestigious residential communities in all of Mexico. Golf courses, private security, gorgeous homes. It feels like someone took a high-end US suburb and dropped it into the Yucatan jungle. Amazing place to live. Not amazing for your budget though. So when people say, how much does it cost to live in Merida? The answer is, it depends where you live. Because going from Centro or Francisco de Montejo to Cabo Norte or the Country Club can easily triple your rent. Now let's break down the actual cost so you can see the difference. But first, let's talk groceries, because this is one of the biggest reasons people move to Mexico. And in Merida, your grocery bill is going to feel like it's on a permanent vacation compared to the US or Canada. Here are actual prices for Merida supermarkets. No numbio nonsense, these are real items taken from real grocery store websites. So 30 eggs is 89 pesos or $4.85. The rest of the stuff I'm getting ready to tell you is going to be in kilos. So if you're from the United States, when I give you the US dollar version, that will be in pounds. Just for your convenience. So a kilo of bananas is basically 20 pesos or 49 cents for a pound. Potatoes, 29 or basically 30 pesos or 74 cents for a pound. Onions, 27 pesos or 67 cents for the pound. A kilo of tomatoes, 25 pesos or 62 cents for a pound. Avocados, a kilo, 111 pesos or $2.75 for the pound. That avocado price might feel a little spicy until you remember that in the US, you practically have to take out a personal loan for guacamole at Chipotle. Now for meat and proteins. A chicken breast, a kilo of that is 159 pesos or about $1.79 a pound. Kilo of ground beef, 142 pesos or about $1.59 for a pound. pound. Then you have steak, 206 pesos for a kilo or $2.31 a pound. Then there's pork, 135 pesos for a kilo or $1.51 for a pound. Chicken is affordable, pork is even cheaper, and steak is still very reasonable, especially compared to US supermarket prices, which have been training for the Olympics and the jump to $20 a pound event. Then you have a liter of milk, which is 20 pesos or $4.13 for a gallon. Rice for a kilo is 21 pesos or 52 cents for a pound. This is where Mexico shines. You could build a completely solid grocery basket for way less than what you'd pay in Panama, Costa Rica, or definitely the US. Based on these prices, a single person shopping normally, cooking at home, not eating like a fitness influencer on a chicken and rice only diet, could expect $35 to $55 per week or $140 to $220 per month. If you're a couple, double it. If you have kids, triple it. If you have teenagers, just buy a farm. So groceries are very affordable here. But now let's talk about the thing that really determines your budget, housing. And Merida has everything from $400 apartments to $1 million golf course homes. Merida's housing market is one of the biggest reasons expats move here. You get colonial homes, modern condos, suburban houses, and full-on luxury golf course communities, all at prices that make North Americans question their life choices. So let's look at actual real listings from Merida. Apartments and houses, both rent and for sale, with the conversions using today's rate, which is 18.32 pesos for $1. First up, apartments for rent. Our first one is Chaberna de Hidalgo. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 90 square meters for 7,500 pesos or $409 a month. Next, in Santa Gertrudis Copo, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 76 square meters for 23,000 pesos or $1,256 a month. Then another one in Gertrudis Copo is a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 100 square meters for 27,000 pesos or $1,474 a month. Apartment prices range from very affordable to, okay, wow, this feels like Miami with better tacos. But the quality in the north part of Merida is extremely high. Rooftop pools, gyms, co-working, you name it. So now houses for rent. First up is Francisco de Montejo. A 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 90 square meters is 10,500 Mexican pesos or $573 a month. Then you have the second one is Montebello, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 170 square meters for 24,000 pesos or $1,310 a month. The next one is La Ceiba Golf Club, 3 bedroom, 4 bath, 250 square meters, 27,000 pesos a month or $1,474. Renting a house in Merida is shockingly reasonable, especially considering how much space you get. Even in La Ceiba, the golf course community, the prices are still below what you'd pay for a decent apartment in most US cities. Now let's look at apartments for sale. First up, Chaberna de Hidalgo, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 40 square meters for $1,854,000 pesos or $101,250. Then you have Montebello, a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 87 square meters for $2,995,000 pesos or $163,545. Then you have Cabo Norte, a 2 bedroom, 3 bath, 150 square meters for $7,500,000 pesos or $409,836. Merida's condo market is extremely strong. Cabo Norte is one of the premier areas in the entire state, and even there you're paying what you'd pay for a bland condo in a random US suburb. Now let's look at houses for sale. First up, we have Francisco de Montejo, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 164 square meters for $2,100,000 pesos, which comes out to $114,640. Then we found this one in Altabrisa, a 3 bedroom, 3 bath, 226 square meters for $5,500,000 pesos or $300,109. And then of course we're back to the country club, Yucatan Country Club, 3 bedroom, 4 bath, 600 square meters, that's big, 17,980,000 pesos or $981,335. I know a lot. And here's where Merida really surprises people. $1 million home in Yucatan Country Club would easily be a $3 to $5 million home in Florida or California. The value here is insane, especially for retirees or remote workers looking for space, security, and a golf course. So housing in Merida can be incredibly affordable or surprisingly upscale depending on the neighborhood. But what about eating out and transportation and utilities, especially AC, because Merida is basically 12 months of summer. So let's break all of that down. Before we jump in, I've got something brand new that's going to make your life a lot easier if you're thinking about moving to Colombia. I'm releasing a new series of 2026 Colombia regional guides, 7 in total, covering every major region of the country. Each guide includes up-to-date cost of living for the most popular cities in the region, safety indexes, healthcare information, a directory of trusted doctors, attorneys, tax specialists, visa services, and relocation specialists, plus the visa requirements and options, everything you need to plan your move. They're normally going to be $29 each, but for our Black Friday launch through December 15th, they're only $19, and you can add any extra region for just $10 more. They'll start rolling out between December 15th and the 23rd, and every one of them gets quarterly updates through 2026. And if you want all 7 and access to the new passport community launching January 1st, you can pre-order that now too. Members get all 7 guides included, plus access to our private forums, cost of living data tables, and visa resources for every region. The community will be $29 a month or $299 a year, and there's also a pro plan with a monthly live Q&A session for $49 a month or $499 a year. But right now, during pre-launch, you can lock in the 2026 year for half price, $149 or $249 for the year. And remember, that $249 option gets you live Q&A sessions every month with me on a Zoom call, and you can ask whatever you want. Everything's linked below. Grab your regional guide, pre-order your community membership, and join us as we make living abroad easier than ever. Merida has one of the best food scenes in Mexico. And yes, I'm including Oaxaca. Don't come for me in the comments. From street tacos to upscale fusion restaurants, you can eat incredibly well here without lighting your wallet on fire. Here's what you can expect to pay when eating out in Merida. Street food and local spots. This is where Merida shines. If you want to eat cheap, like ridiculously cheap, Yucatan street food will treat you very well. Tacos from street vendors, 15 to 25 pesos each. That's 82 cents to $1.36. Then you have tortas, which is a Mexican sandwich, 35 to 60 pesos or $2 to $3. Then you have panuchos and salbutes. They're 12 to 18 pesos each or 60 cents to $1. Then local soda or agua fresca is 12 to 20 pesos or 60 cents to $1. You could eat like a king here for the price of a vending machine snack in the US. Now let's talk about casual restaurants. Think neighborhood eateries like cafes or family-run restaurants. A typical plate, pollo asado, rice, beans, salad, is anywhere from 80 to 150 pesos or $4 to $8. Then for breakfast, eggs, chilaquiles, coffee, 100 to 160 pesos or $5.50 to $8.75. Then you have seafood plates, anywhere from 150 to 250 pesos or $8 to $14. Most casual restaurants here fall under the price of one Starbucks latte in the US, and the food actually fills you up. Now let's talk about mid-range restaurants. These are your nicer sit-down restaurants with decor, wine lists, and actual napkins. Entrees will set you back 250 to 350 pesos or $14 to $19. Pasta dishes, 200 to 300 pesos or $11 to $16. Burgers, like an American style plate, 150 to 250 pesos or $8 to $14. This is the sweet spot for most expats. Great quality without the tourist tax. Now let's talk about higher end dining. Think upscale spots in Altabrisa, Montebello, Cabo Norte, Paseo de Montejo, and the newer gastronomic districts. Like a main course would set you back somewhere between 500 to 900 pesos or $27 to $50. Appetizers, 150 to 300 pesos or $8 to $16. A glass of wine, 120 to 200 pesos or $7 to $11. Cocktails, 120 to 180 pesos or $7 to $10. A fancy dinner for two here costs less than one fancy dinner for one person in the United States. The only thing that's expensive is resisting the temptation to order everything on the menu. Now let's talk about bars and nightlife. A local beer at a restaurant could be 40 to 60 pesos or $2 to $3. A local beer at a bar, 50 to 90 pesos or $3 to $5. Cocktails, 120 to 180 pesos or $7 to $10. And let's not forget shots of mezcal or tequila, 40 to 120 pesos, depending on quality, or $2 to $7. You can go out with friends, have a few drinks, and still walk out for under $20. If you do that in Miami, the bartender hands you a financing plan. If you eat out a few times per week, you're looking at $120 to $200 a month. If you eat out every day at normal places, you're looking at $250 to $350 a month. If you eat out every day with a mix of fancy and normal, probably more like $400 to $600 a month. So Merida is absolutely a foodie city, but unlike the US, your wallet won't be crying after every meal. Now let's move into something equally important, how you'll get around. Transportation in Merida is one of the most pleasant surprises for expats. You've got cheap Ubers, an actual modern bus system, and taxis that won't make you feel like you're negotiating a hostage exchange. Here's what getting around really costs. For Uber, which is your go-to option in Merida, Uber is everywhere in Merida and insanely cheap. An average city ride, think 10 to 15 minutes, is 80 to 100 pesos or $4.36 to $5.46. From Centro to Northern Merida is about 150 pesos or $8.19. The Uber minimum fare here is 25 pesos or $1.36. Merida Airport to Centro is 240 to 300 pesos or around $13.10 to $16.38. For the price of 2 US McNuggets, you can get across half the city. It's almost unfair. Taxis are a bit more old school in Merida, but still inexpensive. Just make sure the driver turns on the meter or agree on a price first. A typical ride is 90 to 150 pesos or $4.91 to $8.19. Airport taxis are typically 240 to 300 pesos or $13.10 to $16.38. Uber is usually cheaper, but taxis are a great backup, especially late at night or near the airport. Now, Merida has a surprisingly modern tap-to-pay style bus network with real schedules and air conditioning, which is essential because Merida's climate is set permanently to broil. These are some of the Bayou Bend fares. A standard fare is 12 pesos or 66 cents. Student and senior fares are 5 pesos or 27 cents. Then there's transfer discounts, 50% off for the second ride within 2 hours. Third and fourth rides are free. You can literally ride across Merida for less than $1. At these prices, even the buses are cheering for your financial success. And then Merida is also walkable in Centro and some parts of the north, but keep in mind the heat is real. Walk a block, sweat a gallon. Sidewalks are creative. Cycling is growing, but still very niche for day-to-day life. This is more of a short distances only option. Now let's talk about owning a car in Merida. For the sake of completeness, many expats do buy cars. Gasoline is 24 to 25 pesos per liter. That's $1.31 or $1.36 per liter, which comes out to about $5 US per gallon. Insurance is $20 to $40 a month. Maintenance is cheap by US standards, but most expats rely on Uber and never feel the need to own a car. So typical monthly transportation costs, if you use Uber regularly, think $30 to $80 per month. If you mix Uber and a bus, $20 to $40 a month. Car ownership is going to cost you $150 to $300 per month. Fuel plus insurance plus maintenance. So transportation in Merida is incredibly affordable, and unless you're living way out on the edge of the city, you'll never spend more than a few bucks getting around. Now let's move on to a category that does fluctuate depending on where you live: utilities. Utilities in Merida are where the budget can get interesting. Everything here is cheap except electricity, and that's because Merida is basically a convection oven disguised as a city. Air conditioning is the wild card, so let's break this down. Electricity in Merida is substantially higher than most of Mexico because you run AC often. CFE, the electric company, has high DAC penalties for high consumption. Here are realistic monthly ranges based on research that I've done. Normal usage, think fans and limited AC, anywhere from 40 to 100 US dollars a month. Moderate usage, anywhere from 100 to 150 US dollars. Heavy usage, think AC every night, 150 to 250 US dollars a month. Now let's talk about extreme usage. Think AC all day and night during the hottest months. Bills can reach 5,000 pesos or 275 US dollars a month. If you run AC like it's a human right, Merida will punish you. Use it strategically and your bill stays sane. Water in Merida is extremely cheap. Typical water bill is 200 to 230 pesos every 2 months, which comes out to $10.70 to $12.30 total. So the monthly equivalent would be like $5 to $7 a month. Then you have gas. Most homes use LP gas for cooking and hot water. 2 15-liter tanks is about 100 US dollars per year, which comes out to like $8 to $10 a month. $100 a year for gas, that's cheaper than 2 Chipotle bowls. Then you have trash and garbage collection, and that's usually bundled with water or municipal fees. Sometimes it's included, sometimes it's 100 pesos per month or $5.46. Then you have the internet. Internet in Merida is fast, reliable, and very affordable. It's about $15 to $40 a month. Typical speeds offered are 50 megabits for 300 pesos a month, 100 to 300 megabits for 500 to 600 pesos a month. You can get solid fiber internet here for the price of a Burger King combo in the US. Now let's talk total utilities. Basically, someone who uses normal AC use is about $117 a month. Someone who's using the AC a little heavier, anywhere from $190 to $300 a month. So utilities really depend on how much AC you use, but everything else from gas and water to internet is shockingly cheap. Now, one thing Mexico absolutely nails is cell phone service. It's cheap, it's flexible, and you don't get stuck in a 2-year contract designed by Satan. Whether you're visiting or living here long term, you can get a solid plan for the price of a burrito. The biggest carriers in Merida are Telcel, who has the largest coverage. Then there's AT&T Mexico with great performance. Then you have Movistar, which is your budget option. And then you have Virgin Mobile, which is small but cheap. Here's what the typical prepaid plans look like. A standard prepaid plan is about 80 to 350 pesos per month, which is $4.36 to $19.11. These usually include unlimited calls and SMS, North America coverage, think Mexico, US, Canada, 2 to 5 gigabytes of mobile data, access to certain apps without data usage, think WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. And for under $20 a month, you get enough data to run your business, stalk your neighbor's dog on Instagram, and call the US every day. Then you have higher end prepaid plans. Telcel's premium prepaid plan is 516 pesos or $28.16. Comes with 5 gigabytes of data, unlimited calls and texts. Social media apps included. This is perfect for digital nomads or heavy data users. Now, if you need a cheap local phone, you can get one for 300 to 500 pesos. That's like $16 to $27. That's throwaway cheap. So cell service in Merida is cheap, reliable, and incredibly easy to set up. But now let's move into a category that's just as important, especially if you're comparing Merida to Colombia, Panama, or Costa Rica, and that's healthcare. One of Merida's biggest selling points, besides the food and the heat that makes your armpits rethink their life choices, is healthcare. Mexico has some of the best private medical care in Latin America, and Merida is one of the country's medical hubs. So let's break down what you'll actually pay. These are real-world, expat-reported prices that I found in my research. General doctor visit, 500 pesos, think $27. Then you have emergency room visit, 350 to 500 pesos, basically $19 to $27. A specialist consultation is roughly around 800 pesos, think $43. And specialists include things like dermatologists, cardiologists, orthopedists, things like that. Seeing a specialist here costs less than parking at a specialist's office in the US. And prescription meds in Mexico are typically 30 to 60% cheaper than in the US. Some meds don't even require a prescription. Expats have reported a med that costs $375 in the US costs $35 in Merida. You know that moment when you pick up a prescription in the US and it's $300? Well, in Mexico, that same prescription is usually the price of lunch. Mexico's private health insurance is excellent and much cheaper than US plans. Typical private insurance costs $1,500 to $3,000 a year. That equates out to $125 to $250 a month. Then there's budget expat plans that are like $42 a month. Now, this is important. Adults over 65 may not qualify for private insurance. Many retirees use a combination of public plus private clinics. Merida has some of the best hospitals in southern Mexico, including Star Medica, Hospital Faro del Maeb, Clínica del Merida, and Hospital El Faro. You can get things like an MRI, a CAT scan, blood work, x-rays, minor procedures for a fraction of US prices. So the typical monthly spend for a healthy expat? Somewhere around $40 to $120 a month. Healthcare in Merida is affordable, modern, and easy. You don't leave the hospital needing a payment plan, a GoFundMe, and a prayer. Now that we've gone through housing, groceries, utilities, healthcare, transportation, and all of it, let's put it all together in a real monthly budget. And I'll do this the way that I always do, by giving you budgets for different types of people so you can see where you fall. First, let's look at a single digital nomad, basically a solo expat. This person lives in a 1-bedroom apartment, works from cafes, cooks at home, but eats out sometimes, uses Uber often, runs AC a few hours a day. You're looking at basically $860 to $1,450 a month. A single person can live extremely well in Merida for under $1,500 a month, and plenty live closer to $900 without trying. Now, next up is a frugal couple. This couple lives outside the premium zones, cooks most meals, uses Uber sparingly, and keeps AC use fairly low. A frugal couple can live comfortably in Merida without sacrificing quality of life for around $1,200 to $1,600 a month. Now let's look at a retired or comfort lifestyle couple, eating out often, running the AC at night with a nicer apartment. This couple wants comfort. Convenience, better neighborhoods, think Montebello, Altabrisa, Cabo Norte, and AC at night, and loves going out to eat. They would generally spend $1,800 to $3,000 a month, still dramatically cheaper than the US, Canada, or Europe, for the same quality of life. So whether you're a solo digital nomad watching your budget, a frugal couple living smart, or retirees looking for comfort and convenience, Merida offers an incredible quality of life at a fraction of the cost of the US. And that's exactly why so many expats are looking this direction. And that's the real cost of living in Merida, Mexico. Not the fantasy numbers you see on blogs, but actual prices for groceries, housing, healthcare, transportation, and everything else you need to plan a move down here. If you want more breakdowns like this for Mexico, Ecuador, Panama, and the rest of Latin America, hit that like button and subscribe. YouTube created those buttons so small channels like mine can compete with Mr. Beast. So when you click them, it tells YouTube you're riding with the underdog. And if you want the deeper stuff, taxes, visas, residency options, and where to live across Latin America, make sure you join The Passport, my free weekly newsletter. You'll also get The Passport magazine, which is 100% free and packed with expat content, cost of living data, and city breakdowns. If you're into real estate around the world, check out Brokor, my global real estate newsletter. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious, stay adventurous, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.